So, good afternoon to everyone here in London and everyone on the live stream. My name is Niels Frederiksen. I've been the CEO of the company since 2015, but I've been with the company for more than 20 years, covering almost all functional areas. I wanted to start today with this purpose video because I wanted to share with you one of my favorite smoking rituals of a good summer. Now, every weekend there's a football game on, and my team, FC Copenhagen, plays every weekend. And if I'm not in the stadium, I will be in my summer house on my veranda with my iPad watching the game. And as I prepare for the game, I'll brew myself a strong cup of coffee, I'll go to my humidor, and I'll look for the perfect cigar for the game. And I'll always pick out a number of cigars, because picking out just the right cigar for that match is not as easy as you would think. But at the end, I'll choose one, I'll bring it along with my cup of coffee, I'll settle down in a nice, comfortable chair, ready to watch the game. Then I'll bring out my cutter, my favorite lighter, and I'll start the slow process of lighting up that cigar and enjoying it throughout the game. That's one of my favorite rituals as a cigar smoker, and one of the things that make me a much nicer person to be around. So, we'll come back and talk more about the rituals, but I wanted to first talk a little bit about who we are as a company. And Scandinavian Tobacco Group is first and foremost a cigar company, and our vision is to become the undisputed global leader in cigars. We are already a leader in cigars, and we export our products to around 100 countries around the world. We have some very strong market positions in the US and Europe, and around 90% of all cigars is still consumed in these geographies. On top of that, we operate the most successful online and retail business within handmade cigars in the US, and as you'll see over the course of the day, the handmade cigar we consider to be a unique segment where we can compete across multiple parts of the value chain and win. For machine-rolled cigars and smoking tobacco, our focus is really on optimizing our market share based on a very strong portfolio of brands. So let's take a look at why we think Scandinavian Tobacco Group is an investment worthwhile considering. As a leading player, Scandinavian Tobacco Group have delivered consistent performance since our listing in 2016, strengthening our margins and delivering stronger and stronger cash flow. Our strength is really based on some of the finest and strongest portfolio of brands in the industry, and we have many number one and number two market positions across the geographies, and based on the consumer insights that we generate and have generated over the years, we've been able to implement disciplined and consistent price increases, offsetting market declines. In parallel with that, we have been focusing on optimizing and simplifying the business, leading to healthy margin improvements and stronger cash flow, all things that forms the basis for a strong capital allocation policy. It is my clear belief that we are the strongest company in the cigar industry, and we are better positioned than any other company to further consolidate the industry. We have the financial strength, the expertise, and the intention to consolidate the industry further. So let's take a look at our role in the bigger tobacco market. We are really a niche tobacco company focused on rituals and smoking enjoyment. To us, the quality of the tobacco we use actually matter. We are occupied with creating new smoking experiences and with making sure that we put our craftsmanship to use across our many different product categories. We are not a mainstream tobacco company, and we try to avoid going up head-to-head with big tobacco companies. We have a well-balanced portfolio, both across the product categories, but also across the geographies, and this is part of the risk mitigation against new regulation, which still has a regional approach. We believe in the sustainability of the cigar category. It is an older consumer base, it is smoked less frequent, and it's smoked more for enjoyment than many of these other categories. And we know that many cigar smokers are actually dual users in the sense that they will also consume other tobacco or nicotine products. So let me introduce some of our fine brands. In the handmade cigar segment, we are number 1 in the US and we are number 3 globally, or outside the US, which would be more correct to say. We own a number of the Cuban trademarks in the US only. These are brands such as Cohiba, Punch, Partagas, Hoyo. Outside the US and globally, we own strong brands such as CAO and Macanudo. And whereas we are the market leader in the US and we can compete comfortably across all segments from value to super premium, outside the US, we really need to strengthen our brand portfolio further so that we can invest more money behind globalizing our handmade cigar business. Let me turn to the machine-rolled cigar segment. And in machine-rolled cigars, we are number 1 outside the US, and we are almost non-existing in the US for all sorts of historic reasons. Also here, we have a great assortment of brands being able to compete across all meaningful segments. And our job here is slightly different than in handmade cigars because here we are working hard to reduce the number of brands we have in our portfolio to a core set of brands that we believe is required to compete and win in the markets where we are active. So let's turn for a second and talk about regulation and how we try to use this to our advantage. I think it's fair to say that we have many decades of extensive experience in dealing with and adapting to new regulation. And in many cases, our categories remain more leniently regulated than cigarettes. Our success today is really based on an in-depth understanding of new potential regulation. And we try to make sure that we are well prepared to deal with this from a supply chain perspective, but also making sure that we can adapt our consumer propositions in a way that we remain competitive. This makes us a trusted partner by many of our customers because regulation does not only hit the customers, it does only hit the industry, it also hit our customers, and many of them have a need for guidance and education when new regulation is passed. So our core focus remains the US and Europe, where we work directly or via trade organizations with the legislators to make sure that when they pass new legislation, they have the best possible information available and know the likely impact of the new laws that they will be passing. I will not today go into detail with any particular parts of regulation, but I'm of course happy to answer any questions there is in the Q&A. What I will emphasize is that whereas on the one hand we see new regulation as a challenging threat to the industry, it is also an opportunity. And we see again and again that new regulation is much easier for us to deal with than our smaller competitors, and we consider it one of the things that will trigger acquisition opportunities over time. So with that, let me turn to our sustainability strategy. Now, responsibility is embedded in Scandinavian Tobacco Group as a core value, and it shapes how we conduct our business. And in 2020, we launched our new sustainability strategy that really focuses on 4 core areas: people and communities, the planet and how we work to ensure that we have a sustainable business, ethics, which is particularly critical in our line of business, and then the governance, which is really how we ensure adequate oversight with our business. However, and as you said, we are working hard to implement that strategy, but we've also, in the course of 2021, realized that we needed to raise our ambition in this area even further. So we have been working on the next generation of our sustainability strategy. We will come back within the next 3 to 6 months and show you how we intend to accelerate our efforts within this area even more than what we're doing today. So let's turn to look, and I hope it's not me they're coming to pick up, but let's turn to our performance over the past 5 years. Scandinavian Tobacco Group has really been on a journey to transform itself to a more professional, more customer or consumer-oriented and more scalable business. We've implemented a number of initiatives over the past couple of years, and to mention a few of them, I would say we have gone from a decentralized to a global operating model. We have increased the number of commercial people in our executive leadership. We've invested significant sums in building further consumer insights. We've upgraded skill level across a number of critical areas such as digitalization, lean, procurement, strategy execution, and planning. And then we've started what you all know is a substantial journey towards implementing a global SAP solution for our company, something which I think will be very, very good for us over time. So over the years, we may have seen year-on-year variations in our performance, but since the listing, we have significantly improved the size of the company and the profit of the company. And we have today stronger margins, more healthy cash flows, and we believe altogether delivered attractive returns to shareholders. So before going to talk about the future, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Scandinavian Tobacco Group in an even longer time perspective. So people often ask me, isn't life in the tobacco industry with all categories in fundamental decline, is that not a difficult industry to work in? And I always say to them, yes, working in the tobacco industry is challenging. But the people that come and join us also join a team with ambitions and a history that proves that we can build a bigger company even in a challenging industry. So since our divestment of cigarettes in 2008, we have more than tripled the size of the company. We have more than quadrupled the size of our earnings, and we are delivering significantly stronger and more consistent cash flows. So in other ways, our strongest argument for future success is really our history. I think, to me, our history is our credibility. We intend to build a bigger business, and we want to become the undisputed global leader in cigars. And when you join Scandinavian Tobacco Group as a new employee, you join us with a growth mindset, not with a mindset of declining or of managing a declining business. So let's look a little bit at our updated strategy. And again, I would say it may seem trivial to a non-smoker, but to a cigar smoker, cigars actually matter. And this is why in the new strategy we have put rituals at such a central element of our new strategy. And this is also the reason I started with the storyline that we did. Rituals are a critical element of what we do. And when you look at how these rituals fit into a consumer everyday consumption or everyday pattern, when you, as I do, smoke cigars, and when you are facing a society that is fast-moving and changing all the time, the rituals matter. And it doesn't really matter whether these rituals are a cigar, a pipe, a cup of coffee, or something entirely else. Rituals are important, and that is why we have developed this new purpose of crafting the rituals that make us more. The updated strategy is first and foremost a commitment to our core cigar business, but also a recognition that while we continue to grow and develop the business, we also need to look outside the cigar business into the wider tobacco category to see all the developments that are taking place and to identify whether there are opportunities emerging where we can meaningfully play and win. So our growth incubator, which is part of the new updated strategy, is really a commitment to deliver better organic growth going forward compared to what we've done in the past. So we continue to believe that growth is possible to deliver not only through acquisitions but also organically, partly through our core cigar business, as also evidenced by the announcement we made today around expanding our US superstores, but of course also in some of these new categories that we believe we can play in as well. And with that ambition in place, let's look at what we consider to be our 5 must-win battles. One paper bag. So our must-win battles is really where which is really our key priorities, and is where we put the bulk of our resources and the bulk of our attention. We see the biggest organic growth opportunities in handmade cigars, also evidenced by the announcement on the new stores, but also importantly supplemented by a higher level of globalization of the handmade cigar business. I believe that the impact of COVID-19 to the consumption of handmade cigars globally show that when we can engage with consumers better and more frequently, then they will engage back with the category, and we believe this supports the long-term sustainability of the handmade category more than any of the other categories that we are active in. When we look at our machine-rolled cigar business, it is really in a better shape than it's ever been before. And with the acquisition of Agio, we have a much stronger base from which to optimize this business and prepare ourselves for the next acquisition. And making acquisitions and integrating them with us as high speed as possible is of course also a must-win battle, and one that we work hard at improving on a constant basis. And we are very satisfied with the latest 2 acquisitions we've made, which we believe have both been highly value accretive for our shareholders. Now, we believe that we can be the most cost-effective operator of any cigar business, which would also mean that and this will benefit us whenever we do an acquisition, irrespective of how high the synergies are. But we are also aiming to be the best in class when it comes to working capital, so that we can basically release surplus cash from the acquired companies and altogether, let's say, risk protect the uncertainty that will always be associated with acquisitions. When you look at a company like ours that grows through acquisitions, there's always a risk that complexity takes overhand, and hence we constantly work on how to simplify the company. This really covers everything from our processes to our brand and categories to how we organize and work and operate the company. And I think the single biggest commitment we have at the moment to simplifying the company is our global SAP implementation, which will not only support standardization and automation of processes, but also will support a cultural transformation of our company. So our last must-win battle is around creating the necessary performance culture. A culture that not only supports strong execution of our plans, but also attracts the type of individuals we need to succeed. So these are people with a growth mindset, people that like challenges, and people that embrace changes, because that is what you will get when you come to work for Scandinavian Tobacco Group. So let me quickly cover what the team will go over in the course of today. And what we will try to show you is that Scandinavian Tobacco Group is a market leader with a successful history of strong financial performance and industry consolidation. We'll also show you that despite increasing regulation, we know how to navigate these and grow the company. We are focusing really hard to professionalize the company, allowing us to leverage our experience and our financial firepower if and when the opportunity arises. And our focus will continue to be on combustible products, but we will also start looking at other emerging categories. We use our craftsmanship to create the best possible consumer propositions across the categories where we compete, and we continue to believe in the importance and passion around tobacco and smoking experiences. We have a proven M&A strategy with successful acquisitions under our belt and room for an opportunity for even further consolidation. And we firmly believe that no other company is as well positioned to win in this industry as we are, and hence we continue to pursue our vision of being the undisputed global leader in cigars. Let me finish off with a few words on our management team. Because since I took over back in 2015, I've been working diligently and hard to put together a diverse leadership team that I actually believe can execute our strategy and achieve our vision. And what I've been focusing on is really putting together a team with the right combination of industry insights, functional expertise, and intellectual capacity. And what I have here is what I believe is a battle-tested leadership team ready to take Scandinavian Tobacco Group to the next level of performance and to make sure that we can deliver and develop a sustainable business also for the future. So with that, I will thank you for your attention so far, and I'll give the word back to Torben, who will take you to the next point on the agenda. Thank you.